Beautiful. Yay. Hi, everybody. Tanja with Adventures for Connection. And of course, Norma Jean's here. Say hi. And we've got Trudie. Trudie
Hello.
Love. My goodness. I've known you for over a year now, year and a half, maybe almost 2 years.
Probably getting on for 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've always, we found each other online, which is how things happen these days. Yeah. And really connected and hit it off. And so tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you've got going on and how you maybe a quick synopsis on how you got started with money and became this intuitive business coach.
Okie dokie. So I go by normally Spirit Guide Mentor. That's kind of that's my thing. Connecting to Spirit Guide, teaching other women, other healers, mothers how to receive their spirit guides, because ultimately when we are able to connect and receive our divine spirit team, we are then able to connect with our own divinity, our own sovereignty, and how we too are also a spirit guide. We are always guiding our own spirit. And once we learn and remember, because it's always there, we haven't kind of lost it, we're just in a state of amnesia sometimes. But once we remember how to be again, everything unfolds beautifully. So that's what I do. Some people may, I had a client call me a co-creation teacher, and I thought, oh, I like
that. Right? You can, and I always say you can call me whatever you want, but here I am, right? So yeah, whatever floats your boat. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, and whereabouts are you in the world so people know?
So I am from the UK. You might have from my accent, from a little town called Bristol. And that's where I am from. But the majority of my clients are from the States.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. And how many children do you have?
I have 3. I laugh about that now because my eldest just turned 16 a week ago. And I feel like I'm still coming to terms with that. Thankfully, we had a therapy session on Friday. We go to a therapy session every week. And it was just a really good opportunity to actually kind of see the inner child within me and how that was kind of coming out in my own daughter. And in my head, I'm like, my spirit guide is called Sunny. I know that you know this. But in my head, I'm like, Sunny, come on, give me some advice here. And he's just chill, just be, it's all right. Because there is this feeling of time speeding up at the moment, because our vibration collectively is speeding up. And I'm like, I just want to kind of just stay in the now. Everything is like freeze frame things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get that. So Jade just turned 18. Don't make her older than she is. Yeah. So, and she's taller than I am and definitely starting to stand in her own power, so to speak, and making some life decisions. And it's beautiful to watch, right? To allow them coming out of her shell. So just like your daughter, they were a little stuck there for a bit in trying to figure out who they were and what is this world all about. And it doesn't make sense, and super sensitive to energies and having a little social anxiety. And, our kids both went through the same thing. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, hi, Shelley.
I love how you actually, hi, Shelley. I love how just as we came on, you mentioned children.
Yes.
And that has been a reoccurring message from my own guides lately, which is look at the children, look at how the children are doing things, look at what they're curious about, look at what they want to bring to our attention, and just observe. Don't try and interject. Don't try and cajole or manipulate what it is they're doing, but just kind of observe. Because from that observation, you will find out exactly what it is that you're meant to do and what also needs a little bit more love. I've kind of gone off of using the word healing because I think it has a lot of this kind of unconscious bias that feels a bit limiting. And the way that my guys describe it is, well, you're already healed. Like there's nothing to fix. So what on earth are you like telling yourself that you need to heal. If anything, it's just okay, just let a little bit more love in, a little bit more play in, and the children will teach you that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how it all began is just before the full moon, this Wolf Leo moon. It was really feeling like, oh, something's shifting, something's happening. I could feel it in the energies. And we had some really big storms come in here. Actually, it started with the dome, the energetic dome. Norma Jean, share that first so that we do this in sequence a little bit.
The one that I was seeing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I can see a dome, especially if I'm near the ocean, because it's so prominent for me. So it's being able to see the difference of the colors in the distance, where it's like, it looks like it hits up against the dome. And at that time it was like greenish. So it had like this almost coral green to it. And when I see those colors, I'm like, that's interesting, because that to me tells me, okay, there's a storm brewing in the way that I perceive things. So it was one of those that, looking at it, I was like, it looked like it was closer instead of further out. Because as the storms went through over the last 2 or 3 days, I think is how long it lasted. By the time it was over with, then it was as though the dome expanded, because then it became just a darker blue off in the distance, where it just seemed as though it's further. Now, it could be just because of the colors. It could be just because, perspective and perception can be a bit, off a little bit as far as what eyes were using and utilizing and seeing with. So it was quite fascinating. When we arrived, the day we arrived, it was clear, but it was like immediately when we arrived here, it was like, whoa, it seems as though clearing's already beginning, just being.
And I may have said something about clearing. I may have made a little command about clearing space and energy and putting out some stuff and going, I'm getting zinged really hard.
And then going through the towns.
And then we went through some towns. And as soon as we both felt it, as soon as we got in, it was like, what is going on in this town? Because you could just feel the denseness. And then we'd see a church, and I was like, oh, pull over, clear. Okay, keep going. And so that's all this buildup to just after that storm and just before the full moon. Every time I closed my eyes, I was seeing kids being moved around and taking it out of situation. Like it was like being freed, so to speak, right? All these kids being freed. And I could feel this freeing. And I'm like, all right, keep going, keep going. What else do I need to know? And then a few days later, there's been nobody at the speech at all. And then all of a sudden there's this little boy with his family. And I come out with the paddleboard, and he's like, and I'm like, yeah, go for it. Let's go. So I took him around on the paddleboard, and we hung out and he had a great time. And then the following day, there was a little girl out there, and she would not leave me alone, grabbing my hand the whole time, playing with her doll. And I just hung out with her because I just knew she liked the energy, right? And so it was quite fascinating to just from that feeling and visualizing, and then they actually show up, and I was like, okay, yeah, my baby's 18, but I'll play with you. I'm out there playing in the water like a little kid.
Yeah, because they're not only are they attracted to light, but play is light. Play is the physical form of light. Remember, Eric, who is my ET guide, he said, this year may be about the rise of the underdog, but you need to understand what that means. Those that have felt like they are left behind are ones that have not been given that permission slip, so to speak, or they're not being given their own permission slip to play, to explore. And he's saying your universe was created from the dominant vibration of play and curiosity.
Yes.
And that is essentially what we're returning to. And if we don't return to it, we are going to have a repeat of history that will not be very pleasant, because these systems that we're seeing crumbling at the moment are fear-based, and play is not fear-based. It's the quickest tool that we have as human beings to manifest that which is in congruence with our nature. Like he's just saying now, Mother Earth knows how to play. She's always known how to play. She doesn't stop anyone from playing. She is, you know, the universe's playground.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why we're here in Yucatan, Mexico, is to play. And so it's been this, we have been working a bit, just a little bit, because we're designing some new online courses and ways to help people out when we're not on live. We're collaborating with some other people to come onto the platform under Adventures for Connection to create online courses and to create more lives. So it's been some beautiful synchronicities and examples, and it's been this almost polar opposites in a way of like, oh, it feels like now it's like this. So it is that weaving in and out, right? Don't work too much. Oh, can go play, right? So making sure that we get in the swim.
I'm internally laughing because I remember, like, I may be a little bit slow to start things, but I always get there eventually. That's what I tell myself. So like 10 years ago, that was when this year's the 10th year, I connected with Sunny. And I could hear him, I could see him, all of that kind of thing. And whenever I would ask him, what do I need to do? How do I get this? How do I feel better about that? All he would say is rest, play, just those 2 words. I started to listen a few years after that. But I got there eventually. But I think sometimes we really don't realize, well, I know you guys do, but we really don't realize how impactful play is, and how that's kind of just calling it like the balm, the glue, if you will. Yeah,
absolutely. And I've always been one to play. It is part of my nature. It always has been. It is. I am not a happy camper if I'm not playing. I actually just sold my mountain bike, and I had a little tear because I was like, oh, I really love that bike. And she's like, I don't know what to do with that.
I don't. I've got a bike. My boyfriend a few years ago made me this bike, bright green as well. And he said he had a dream whereby this bike had to be called Emerald or something, Emerald Crystal. And I had a dream that same night that I was being given an emerald. Didn't realize it was a bike. Anyway, I have a fear of sitting on bikes. So that bike has been up in my loft, my attic, for probably about 4 years. So yeah, I might have to do a U and just lovingly give it to someone else.
Right. Well, if you're not going to get on, this is actually a very expensive mountain bike. And it was fun to play, but because I'm trying to manifest traveling, and it's like, okay, you got to let go of what you no longer need for this, right? So I sold my paddleboard. I sold, I'm selling all my gear basically, except I kept a snowboard, but I sold all my other stuff because I got to let it go, because if I want to step into this, I can't have all this baggage. What am I going to do? Pay for storage for it? Like, that makes no sense. And so it's just part of the process. But in my heart opening before the full moon, it was like, oh, my bike. Yeah. And it did take me leaving for it actually to sell. Yeah. Because
the space is there then.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Virginia, for sharing that. So Virginia says, to play as a child, many times we're punished, hard to feel comfortable to play.
Yeah.
It's those baby steps, those little increments. Maybe it's just putting a song on and doing a little dance, right? And not care what you look like or who's watching you.
Yeah.
Or a walk in nature. Yeah, go ahead, Trudie.
Like Sunny said to me once, I was having one of my tantrums, but he said, just go and wash the kitchen floor. And I use this example a lot because I think sometimes we're trying to figure out in our lower minds, our brains, okay, what is play meant to look like? And if you like, your guest just then just said you were punished to play when you were playing, or it feels really uncomfortable, then you're gonna try and be doing damage control. Well, is it safe to do this? Is this what play is? And so I remember Sunny saying to me, just go wash the kitchen floor. So I put on some music, got the mop, started kind of dancing with the mop. Then I started to close my eyes, and it was like this light just suddenly poured through me. And I had these images come in of me playing in past lives. And it was like I was being coded up with regards to my safety. It's okay, it's safe, you can move your body, you're not going to be attacked for moving your body. And then all of these tears started to flow. But afterwards, that felt like play, because it felt like a release and relief.
Yeah, even coloring or drawing or puzzling, doing a puzzle. It doesn't have to be something big, and it doesn't. Luna's saying all her friends have passed over or moved. I try to play by myself, but it's so much more fun to have a friend to play with. And she says, laugh out loud, playhouse. Yeah. So find little things that can be playful, and it doesn't have to be long, even 5 minutes. Yeah, playhouse. Playhouse maybe might have been fun when you were a kid.
My playtime was in the sand and gathering shells and just making designs in the sand.
Yeah.
And also, for those of you that may struggle to play, start with playing in your imagination. Just kind of closing your eyes and just play around in your imagination. Just create the scenes that you want in your imagination. It's also a really, really good way to strengthen your clairvoyance in a way whereby you've got control of it. That's what Sunny taught me anyway. And it's really, really, really helped, because you're setting the kind of the energetic tone and allowing your nervous system to get used to something that has felt a little bit alien.
Yes, absolutely. And even just, that it's always that moving the body for me. So a bit of a jig or a dance or a song or toning, and definitely collecting rocks, collecting sticks, like anything that gets you tactile with nature is highly beneficial. Yeah, absolutely. Cindy says, me and my daughter play cards a lot. Absolutely. We just picked up a couple more games here because we did, right? We've got some more toys. We were playing Yahtzee, and Yahtzee just got a bit too much Yahtzee. We got Yahtzee out. Yeah.
My youngest loves my oracle cards because I've got so many decks, but she likes the colors and the pictures, and that just helps her to explore and to play. But yeah,
absolutely. Or crystals, right? It just depends on what it is. I took my daughter out to the crystal warehouse that I go because I was picking up some points for somebody, and she picks out like only a couple stones and very particular about this one and this one, and but it's that opportunity to be in that energy and feel it in the warehouse, because I get in there and I'm like, like I'm gonna lift off the ground.
It's that feeling of like being high, like floating as you go around the warehouse.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually have to take my dowsing rod and I let it direct me. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming for sure. Yeah, and get really specific. So, well, let's give some other messages maybe for the collective, and we'll keep it super general today. I know that we just had a full moon. We have another new moon. I think it's February 9th. And as we go through these cycles of the moon, is there a message to help people move through these next couple weeks?
Okay, so Eric's coming in and he's saying where you can join hands with your brothers and sisters, join hands. Even those that you may perceive that you don't get on with, that you do not like, that you are triggered by. Join hands. Focus simply on the joining of hands, because what you perhaps resent in another is something that is being suppressed within you. And so when you join hands, because hands are the direct receivers of that which you have in your heart, you are connecting with each other's heart space, heart energy. When you do that, you are directly connected to the beating heart of Mother Earth. And all souls right now need to put their ears to her playground and listen, not with the physical ears, so you can direct your hearing to her, but with the heart. Everything, because when you go to the heart, he's saying you're going to the center point. That is the center point of all worlds, all everything. You cannot bypass the heart. If you try and bypass the heart, you will return back there and you will perhaps have a little bit more work to do. So go straight to the heart. Also, he's saying as we move through the rest of this year, be mindful of where you take your feet with regards to different areas of Earth, because there are vortices that have been specifically, he wants to use the word engineered to deplete you of your connection to Mother Earth. And he's saying many of these vortices are in fact celebrated by many people, thinking that they are a tourist attraction, a tourist spot, when in actual fact they are a chamber of horrors. He's saying, he says this not to bring about fear, but with awareness and with power comes that great responsibility. But you wouldn't even have access to this knowledge if you also didn't have access to its solution. And what it means for the benefit of yourself as a reflection of Mother Earth. We are the human reflection of Mother Earth. She is you, you are her, etc. He wants me to give the example, to put this into context, of the Eiffel Tower. So he's like, you might not want to go there. And if you do go there, place yourself in a bubble of pure white light with a green, like funnel, bright green, like luminous green funnel, moving all the way down through your energy centers. That symbolizes Mother Earth coming through, and then directing that energy out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why that I never enjoyed really popular, busy places. I would never wanted to go. Never. No, Jade's like, well, can't we go here? I'm like, yeah, we can go in and I'm going to freaking bubble us up. Let's get in and get out. Right. Yeah. So absolutely. Some of those attractions. And I would even say so far as like big player concerts that, are part of the system, right? Is also a bit of an energy. So what can you do to counteract that? You can do what feels good to you. You can gather with like-minded souls and do things that you get to enjoy. And so, rather than speaking of just about the negative, let's talk about oceans are always good. Being near water, rivers, lakes. Those are always good energy spots. And they're also ley lines. They're also beautiful ley lines. And even when I was in Egypt, so some of these places are quite collected, but it was my energy going through that was actually redirecting and clearing things and placing my Metatron grid there. Certainly.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And he's also kind of bringing just through a reminder of, the quickest way to shift your energy is, again, through play, especially humor. There's a reason why we say unconsciously, humor is medicine.
Yes.
Because you're doing it from the inside out. You're protecting yourself from the inside out. And protection is just high vibration. When you're high vibrational, you're instantly protected.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a force field in itself. So play.
Yeah, absolutely. We're back to the play. That's one reason why I think Jade loves to sit and watch kitty and puppy videos where they do funny things, right? Because it's funny. It makes me laugh. We'll sit there and watch them together sometimes, like just before going to bed, so that you get a good laugh. And it's like, okay, you just have to release.
Yeah. My Lucia's just started doing that in the last kind of few months. And although she might not consciously recognize what she's doing, like why she's doing it, the change in her mood, in her perception, like it's gorgeous. It's really, really, really beautiful to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Cindy says my daughter works at the NFL, a huge NFL stadium. Yeah, she's staying on the perimeter. Just make sure that she keeps her vibration high and then she releases it afterwards, right? I always go in with a can't touch this.
Yeah, they're also talking about get her to hold a clear quartz in her hand.
Or in her pocket if she can't hold it in her hand because she's working. Yeah, absolutely. And to put anything negative, you can put things into crystals. Oh, and I had this huge epiphany. When it rains hard, is it good to walk through fresh water? 100%. Actually, it'd be good to jump like you were a little kid with boots on, or bare feet, run around in puddles.
Arik's saying, make sure you lift your head up to it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Chin up. Let it basically cleanse your third eye and your crown.
Yeah, beautiful. She has a big clear quartz on her desk. Perfect. Perfect. She already knows what to do. You've already got this. Yeah. And that brings to mind too, the other day I was down at the beach and I did a little video on this that I put out. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the sand. I'm like, oh, the sand's all just the shells all broken down, and shells grow like crystals. And I'm like, that's why the beach is so darn charging. I had this huge aha moment about why I love being at the beach so much, and I find the salt water to not only be cleansing, to also be grounding. You're enjoying the salt water, right?
Oh, except for the taste of it. Like there's no tomorrow. Because I was telling her that the salt water here is different from the salt water in Egypt or in Greece. So it's you kind of get different taste as to what each region of the ocean has to provide. Yeah. So yeah, it was one of those that, I love just walking along the beach and my feet touching the sand, and knowing that the sand is produced because of the shells which come out, from out of the ocean. And just the process that takes place in the ocean is just as beautiful and as purifying as it is to what happens within us when we understand how we alchemize things. Can you imagine the alchemy that happens within the ocean?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's been really stunning. Michelle just got shown that this just brought me back to the U2 360 tour that massive thing they had built for it. Well, think about the Olympics. Think about most large performers that are part of the system and required to, I think some of them don't even know really what's going on most of the time, right? Think about the halftime shows, and we're being shown things that if you have the eyes to see, you will always see it. So you always see the truth anyway about it. So yeah, it's just being, I have to look up that image. Absolutely, I will, Michelle, 100%. And I'm finding more and more people are wanting to go back to nature as well, as far as creating retreat spaces, creating healing centers. And again, to that word healing, if you go on and to say you're always healing, then you go into this hamster wheel of healing. If you're going on to say I'm doing shadow work, then you go onto a wheel of doing shadow work. Same with plant medicine, right? Anything can become your new wheel. So it's always good to break it up and do different things and not rely on any one thing, but it can be used as a bridge. And so using things like breath work, but there's quite a few people starting to promote being on the land, living on the land, creating yurts, creating new retreat spaces that are very nature-based and in harmony with nature. And that's what I really see as the future. Does Eric have anything to add to that?
The first thing he wants to say is there will be no schools.
Yeah.
Not how we know them to be. And what's really interesting, we say like children are the teachers. My eldest actually said a couple of days ago, she said, I don't think that we're going to be going to school for very much longer. I was like, she knows. She knows. It's not sustainable. And we all know why it's not sustainable, because it's a fear-based system.
Yeah. Well, and it takes the play out of the kids. It's not okay to play. It's not okay to be yourself. You need to behave this way, act this way, memorize this, do this test. Oh yeah. No, Jade, I had to pull Jade out a few years ago because she's like, why are you putting me in jail every day?
Oh, like, my Oliver uses that exact word. Why am I in this prison place? It's like, right? And then my Evie will go, I don't understand why I have to sit at a desk for 6 hours. I am bored.
Right? Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, they do know because they didn't come in to play this game. They came in to play much bigger. Yeah. And that's probably what I'm most excited about, is to see that shift within that. So many people condemn millennials for being so lazy and, oh, they're just so lazy and they don't want to work. I'm like, no, they're not. They don't want to fit in the system the way it is. And I'm really proud of them for standing up for that.
Yeah. And Arik just said it's also because they know what true manifesting means. Not the conditional bypassing that some in spiritual communities have come to express. It's like he's showing me these pictures of like churches. He's saying be mindful of spiritual leaders that claim that they are the only ones that know any level of information, because that all information is accessible for all beings.
Yes,
absolutely. It was only humans that decided to gatekeep it.
Right. And so we've been chatting recently because I'm a big person to chat about spirituality versus religion, because religion tries to control you still, where spirituality is about, well, no, this is all about you and going inward and figuring yourself out. It's about people guiding you, but you have to do the work. Whereas religion is like, well, no, you have to listen to the way I say it and the way I do it. And then you've got that, the new age coming in that's been respun religion to come in a new way. And so I just keep saying, just work on you. Just work on what can you control? What can you do? And when you feel empowered, then you don't need to look outside of yourself for anything.
Yeah.
That's true freedom.
Yeah. And he's just saying, be mindful of where you end up creating more matrices upon another matrix. And it's just a conglomeration of various matrices.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize too, this is actually a good another topic, that there's so many things where people realize something and then that's their new truth, but they didn't go back to the very beginning of where that started to get to the root of the truth, so that for sure. And Norma Jean can speak to this.
Well, I mean, for anything, there's a beginning, just as there is an end. So, I mean, how far back can we go, though, is the question. And a lot of that comes down to understanding that at this present time, more and more of the history, which is just only his story, is being put back out for us to be able to do our own research, okay? Because that was kept from us for so long. And so what we must understand is there's an origin to everything. It's just going to go back a little further than what we anticipated. So it's all in, if you do your research, just understand, you can't just go to one place and think, you're being given the whole story, because there's been ages. How many ages have we lived in the 25,120 years? How many times have we done this? Where is the beginning? Where was the end? So it's about gaining all the knowledge or the information to understand the knowledge of the whole of the process of how we became, how this came to be, what it was at, to where it's being shifted. So it's understanding that everything is within us. It just all depends on what you utilize to tap into that wisdom, which already is within the DNA, which is the original blueprint that we came in with to begin with. It's just how far back can we go and how much can we tap into? So it's, through meditations, it can be through gaining information to understand what was left behind so we can tap into it that way. Either way, it's still going to be a level of sitting with self and knowing self.
Yeah.
Ultimately, purely, as clearly as you can. And that's what I do. I'm a sponge, and that's the way I come into my information, but I sit with self. I'll sit with myself until I feel I hit that point where I can tap into that clarity of the understanding of the information that I'm gaining, which is tapped into the knowledge of the DNA, which brings forth the wisdom. But it's me that's doing it. I just utilize the information to tap into. It doesn't mean that it's something that I live by, because I'm going to be able to express to myself the truth of my experience through all these generations of the ages that have been taking place. It's just how far back can I go? How far can I get to that very original blueprint of the DNA that resides within me?
Yeah, I love that. That's probably why I do past lives, because it's just, you end up finding out that you're not just this body, you're not just this mind, and neither are you just this soul either.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that domino effect. It just goes on and on and on and on. And Eric's just saying, now, when you sit with yourself, you sit with the all.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's it. But children are very good at doing that. Even my Oliver, diagnosed with ADHD, and people tell me he won't be able to sit. Oh, he can. You put some meditation music on, and he's there, lovely straight spine, which he's had surgery for, but he can do it because he knows what he's coming into, and therefore what he's also moving away from.
Yeah. How's his back doing?
Much better. Much better. What I find funny is, but I do love it. Whenever he finishes school, he just takes himself straight off to his bed. Like, well, I'm resting, Mum. Keep everybody out. I'm in my bed. And he will stay there. And the other day, I brought his dinner up to him, and I was thinking, am I doing the right thing here? It feels like I'm doing the right thing. And at the same time, it's breaking down all of those constructs and conditioning that we have been made to believe contributes towards a working society. But yeah, he'll stay in bed as much as he likes, and he loves it. He's happy.
Beautiful.
And that's why his body's, healing.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just it, right? Like, as mothers that are aware as we are, and it's like, you just got to let them go through it. You can't manipulate and control. You can guide. It's no different than anything else, because
they come through us.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're not there to, like, my Evie's the complete opposite. If I told her to stay in bed, she'd be screaming and kicking. She wants to be outside, running, playing.
Yeah.
And that's right too. Kind of they have to be able to do their own thing, because their intuition is always telling them what to do.
Yeah.
And to avoid stuffing that up, it's like, okay, just let them.
Yeah.
Very natural.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very natural. Natural parenting.
In all fairness, though, it's taken me a while to get there. I would say only in the last kind of 2 years.
Yeah.
I've kind of,
And so now you realize too that your energy and the way you were thought you should behave and raise them, once you relax, look at them stepping into their own again, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll openly admit, like, with the 3 of my children, I can see reflected in them the stages of my own evolution. So my eldest was very much like me. She, had her struggles. She's you know, coming out of it, I did as a baby, I did control crying with her, which is one of the worst things you can do. Because I fed into the indoctrination of, well, do this, they need to be shut up so you can have an easier life, etc., etc. And then with my Evie, just completely different. She stayed in bed. She's still in bed with me. she's 10 tomorrow, and she's like still in bed with me. Whereas Oliver's like, oh no, mum, why? But yeah, it's very, very different, and it's because you've met Evie, very confident, very strong in her boundaries, will say exactly what she thinks, is so articulate in terms of explaining her emotions. She's not shy in explaining her. She'll say to me, Mum, I didn't like that, you upset me, I think you should apologize. I'm like, oh, okay. And I love that. Whereas, say, my eldest, she would shut it down, and then it would come out in anger, and then an argument, etc., etc. So it's a journey, as they say. The journey is the destination.
Yeah, absolutely. And Luna's just commenting over on Rumble, I get frustrated when folks won't look deeper to find the info of what happened to us to this point. Being older, I was sometimes there, and so much is left out of history. It is. But being frustrated by it, we have to accept that everyone is on their own path.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
How you're willing to perceive yourself through that frustration. So it's like Harit says to me, no emotion is bad or wrong. It's guidance. It's teaching you something. And so once you realize that, because the powers that be up there, well, they won't be the powers that be for very much longer, that tell you that ego and fear is bad. They're telling you that ego and fear is bad for one reason and one reason only. It's because you will then suppress, and you'll be in denial, and you will stop thinking for yourself. You'll just go, this is bad, and you'll do something that actually does feel bad in an attempt to not consider yourself, not think for yourself, not feel for yourself. And it's that what Norma Jean was saying, sitting with yourself. When you sit with yourself, you're going to get a lot of stuff. Those root causes come through so that you can be aware of them, acknowledge them in order to shift them. But if you remain unaware, then it's not that you're not aware, you're just basically sleeping through your own dream, as he likes to call it. And if you're sleeping through your own dream, you'll assume that it's a nightmare, when in actual fact, it's not.
Yeah, good point. I like that a lot. Absolutely. Anything else on that thought process about sort of what's going on over the next even 3 or 4 months? I mean, this year is supposed to be a beautiful year of excavation, of hidden truths coming out. But on the flip side of that, I can also feel that, but if you're working on self and you've got guidance, you've got that support that's needed, it's much easier to observe this and go, oh, look at that. There we go. Right. And well done, but not attach your energy to it.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if anyone follows Bashar. He's channel by and he says, and Arik's always said the same, it's follow your highest level excitement until you can go no further, and then find the next level of excitement and continue to follow that, and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep doing that. Because that is essentially what is going to help you to pivot onto a reality of Earth that is aligned with your true nature. You're not creating a new world, you're just pivoting to a reality of Earth that aligns with you.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes. Absolutely.
He's saying human beings want to make things so complicated. Because it will make them, it will give them that air of, oh, I am a martyr, look at how much I have done. He's saying, but what humans also need to come to terms with is that everything is actually incredibly simple, And so the irony in that is simplicity can be the most complicated thing for humans to digest and to come to terms with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's a good reminder. I always say the KISS method is the way to go. Keep it simple, silly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that comes from backcountry stuff, right? Don't make it difficult. Don't overdo your protection. Keep it simple. And it's such a good analogy for life, especially when you do or have done extreme sports where, heart's racing and what am I doing here? And why did I choose to do this? Right.
Yeah.
And then you step back into life and, oh, that's easy. Oh, and that's easy too. So if you ever want to move through something in life, go skydiving or something. Go bungee jumping, because you got to face your fear right then and there, and everyone faces it the same. But once you've done it, you'd be like, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah. And
I did
it. The feeling of, oh my gosh, I am not as small as I thought I was.
Liberation.
Kind of sets the tone for the next. Yeah, exactly. It sets the tone for the next thing.
Yeah.
Definitely sets up more of an excitement for the next venture to see what next liberating thing you can do. Liberation is what creates happiness.
Yeah.
It's the happiness, because you liberate yourself from that fear because in all actuality, human beings, we're not fear-based.
Mm-hmm.
We're really not fear-based. Fear only becomes what we've been told. And we took it and we ate it like it was pudding, not realizing what was put in the ingredients of the pudding. So in all actuality, we're not fear-based. It's not an original blueprint of us, because we're so much more.
Yeah. Arik actually said to me just before this call, he said, stop feeding into things you can't digest. So your like little food analogy there just reminded me of that. But yeah, to stop feeding into things you can't digest. Truth is simple. It flows. It's easy to digest.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it feels right.
Yeah.
It's when it doesn't feel right. As soon as anyone tries to make a statement that has something like, be careful, false evidence appearing real. Thank you, Luna. Yes, that's a good reminder. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Or it could be face everything and rise. But yeah, as soon as somebody says a statement to me for their belief, and I'm like, no, I'm not taking that on. That's not my belief.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Free to play. Well, no, it doesn't matter where I go. I'm always protected and safe, and I can play how I choose. If there's something going on, I will know to avoid it. It's just how it is. Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
you've already got those resources of protect, like you were created with them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Maybe we can chat a bit about that, about individual frequencies and the purpose of us coming in at this particular time, in this particular way, with these particular families. Is there some information on there that might be helpful for the audience today?
Okay, I'm going to just channel this because it's all coming in a little bit fast. Okay, many of you have come into this time and space so that you could learn the lesson of tolerance, what true tolerance means. This is why many of you in this particular time and space have come to a point whereby you are distancing yourself from those that you call triggering. They are in fact not triggering. They are simply unveiling an aspect of yourself and your perception of the world around you, which you have denied yourself of being. For example, there are many of you that may be watching that tell yourself that you have only manifested something consciously if it is good to you. There is no favoritism within the universe. You are that powerful, you manifest all things to you. And therefore you must decide what it is that you are going to sift through. When you sift through the information and the data that is at your disposal, it is not because you need to forget that which is triggering you. Anything that is triggering you is so that you can know yourself to be the love that you fear receiving from others, because you have been told lies, to use a word from your experience, as to what love actually is. This is why we encourage you to play, because when you play, you are very much in your body. You are so aware of your body that you know with certainty that you are alive. If you were not love, you would not be alive. And therefore, when there are those that offend, trigger, poke you, prod you, it is simply letting you know where you have directed your attention and intention to a place that has closed its eyes to love. We would like to give you this example, and that is, imagine yourself in a darkened room, the room being your mind. Eyes closed, all you see is darkness. You are in the room of darkness. There is a switch by the door, and you know that putting this switch on will illuminate your space. You will, even with eyes closed, begin to perceive that the light is now on, because the energy has changed around you. But just because you were in darkness did not mean that the light, the switch that enabled that light, did not exist. It exists merely because you know it exists. And therefore you have access to it always. You were created through your free will with all of the switches that you would ever need. Though some of you have decided to blindfold yourselves, turn yourself around until you are so dizzy, you end up placing your hand on the detonator rather than the switch. When this occurs, and we are playing with you now, however, when this occurs, we would encourage you to simply sit down. Instead of trying to spin yourself in circles, hoping that at some point you will land on the correct switch, simply sit, so that you can regain your momentum and direct yourself to the place of light within you that illuminates all. You do not need to do any heavy lifting at all. Be mindful of those that tell you that you are hard work, or it is hard work to do, have anything that you desire. It is not hard work. You simply need to allow yourself to sit, close your eyes, know that the switch exists, switch it on. And how do you switch it on? You open your eyes. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. No, that was good. It was like, dang, you did see the smiles on our faces, and are like, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Beautiful. You're so smooth at that. So smooth. Yeah.
getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting better every day. So that was Eric, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about where Eric came in for you? So we got a couple people commenting on it. So I thought we'd.
So Eric says that he's Pleiadian. He comes from the star systems called Star 100, and it's a group of like aliens. And he refers to himself and those like him as the plumbers. So he basically supports humans. He's not just assigned to me, but he's here to basically help humans kind of do the internal plumbing so that everything is flowing and working well again, as it's meant to. And yeah, I first met Eric 4, maybe a bit longer years ago, through a past life regression.
Nice. Beautiful. Yeah, and I can always tell when somebody's channeling something good or when somebody's channeling something that I can feel the energy difference between the two. So when I talk with people about this, I'm like, yeah, be cautious about what you're listening to and what you're taking in as truth. Always go by how you feel. And I know with Eric, always makes me feel good. Like his message was so all-encompassing and beautiful and rings true. So thank you for that. Yeah. It's beautiful.
And
yeah.
Also, it's really important to kind of know who you're connecting with, who you're channeling. So some advice that he gave me was, when you have any person connecting with their spirit guide, dig in to, with regards to where they came from, their history. So for me with Eric, I started digging into the emerald tablets, and star systems and Pleiades, etc. With Sunny, because he is Native American Indian, it was okay, I need to research tribes and tribal ceremonies and things like that, because they're here to inform us, but they aren't going to give us information that we are not ready to receive, or we're not actually going to be in reverence and respect of.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to start connecting with their spirit guides, know that it's a journey of self-exploration, and it's not codependent. If you are dependent or relying on them for anything, you can expect to be met with silence and maybe a roll of the eyes. What I used to get.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Luna over on Rumble's asking, is Ashtar a Pleiadian? Ashtar, I guess that's a captain.
No.
Commander. No. Commander Ashtar, I think it is. Yeah. No. Yeah. I hear a lot about Commander Ashtar. I'm not so sure he's actually a character, guys. So follow what resonates.
Yeah. Because your intuition will already know. It's why it's asking the question in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Answer always lies in the question.
Yeah.
Like, I have more questions now than ever. I'm like, it just feels like questions, but yeah.
Beautiful. Do you want to speak a little bit about where people can find you and how they can find you? I know I've got you posted with your Facebook mostly. Because that's where you spend most of your time.
Yeah, so I would say definitely go there. And also, you can just, I'm pretty open. You just jump into my DMs and, ask me anything. I provide one-to-one mentorship and guidance, whether that be in a single session or perhaps a little bit more. It's always kind of tailored to where you are now and the vision that you have, and being able to encapsulate that and build upon that. And so in order for that to happen, we do go back to past lives, because it's important to know your blueprint as much as you possibly can, because that's what gives you your oh god, that channeling made my nose so itchy, sorry. Like, my nose was so itchy now. And I completely forgot what I was saying. But yeah, know your blueprint.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I know
Perfect.
when I went back to my past lives, and I've actually channeled like a whole framework now called the 4 Keys to Rapid Manifestation. It was like everything I thought I wasn't. And
Yep.
it's just absolutely so insightful and like life affirming as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to let you go. I want to say thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
So good
you so much.
to connect.
It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. And we'll chat some more. I have some ideas, so I'll share them with you private first.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay on
Okay.
just for a minute and we're just going to say goodbye to everybody. So, any final messages that you wanted to share?
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely incredible year.
Beautiful.
Absolutely incredible year. And if you want to get the best out of it, which you will, play. Just play, play, play. I cannot express that enough. Play. And it's okay to not know how to play. The important thing is you at least give yourself permission to be curious about play. And your intuition will already tell you what your body and your mind need. Follow it. Follow it, even if it seems weird, crazy. You know, if it feels weird and crazy, it's probably the right direction to go in. He's just there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The things I've done, right? Okay, I'll do it. And then you're just laughing at yourself while you're doing it, which is probably the whole point of doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be afraid to laugh at yourselves, guys. It's part of the joy. You're welcome, Virginia. Yeah. Oh, we're always laughing at each other and ourselves. There's no shortage of entertainment. So if you really need to resort and you're feeling really low, go watch some kitty and puppy funny pictures and videos.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, sending lots of love.